Hello my honey cherry pies. I am here again to deliver you news, and I am working on some other cool stuff for you guys in the background as well. But without dragging the intro out, let's get into the news. In this week's news, the spotlight goes to the new fire effects and animations, hence the blog name Flame On. The revamping of Fire has been sitting on the dusty shelf for a good 2-ish years. The reason for this is because the developers wanted to focus on the multiplayer code team, which I think is a very good decision overall, as many players, if not most, enjoy multiplayer with their pals. So Fire definitely wasn't the highest priority here, especially since it already kinda worked. But now multiplayer is somewhat stable, which I will say a bit more about later, it makes sense for them to pick the Fire thing back up. The goals of the Fire revamp are to achieve a realistic spread of fire, with certain materials that are more likely to combust. Anyone else imagining pouring gasoline on the floor now? I actually hope they implement that, like imagine making trails of gasoline so you can somewhat make controlled fires to fight the dead. I think that would be a most wonderful addition. The revamp will also take into account temperatures, material types, weight, volume, surface area, heating energy, cooling energy and much more. Hopefully I will no longer be able to just randomly burn down my fully cement base, just from my friend walking into the darn campfire. Like, cement shouldn't burn in the stone. Anyway, there will also be improved effects and visuals, and the wind speed can now determine the direction of the fire, which I think is really cool and also insanely fucking dangerous. That is, if you get unlucky. Rain will now also contribute to how fast the fire goes out, which is a nice bit of extra realism, and on top of that the game can now also track how fire spreads properly when the player isn't nearby. Now let's watch the video of the revamp because it actually has stuff to show us. First we got the Molotov explosion effect, and I'm honestly glad the game will even be getting the explosion effect to begin with, instead of a random few flames spawning upon detonation. And the added effect doesn't look bad, although it doesn't look completely fleshed out yet, especially when the trees are actively untouched when they're in the fire. But it is still work in progress, so I can't complain too much about something that isn't finished. Especially because it's miles better than what we had before, which was nothing. And I must say that the fire on the zombies actually looks really decent. I think that if the initial explosion is a bit more realistic, then it will be very convincing to look at. And the campfire smoke looks nice too, although I'm not sure why it doesn't have both smoke and fire, as they do have those effects as they show them, with those nice little sparkles for example. Perhaps there will be stages of burning within your campfire, with each having their own effect, which would actually be realistic, but perhaps they just haven't developed it that far yet. There's also this other explosion effect, which I'm guessing is made to be attached to something like a pipe bomb. Either way, it looks cool, although I do think the animation is a bit too fast. But then again, I've never actually thrown a pipe bomb in real life, so I don't know how it's supposed to look like exactly. Furthermore, there's also the nice smoke for the barbecue, which looks great. And man, I have to say it, but the background music of their video is intense, man. Like, holy shit. I'm sitting here watching fire animations and I'm feeling like I'm in a life or death scenario. Well, anyway, they're also adding a catching fire animation for the player and also the zombie. The current work in progress one for the player looks pretty cool. I like how you can see the player go like, oh shit, which is a nice bit of realism. I am really wondering how the zombie will respond to burning though. Like, do they actually give a shit? I think in other zombie related stuff like The Walking Dead, they just walk it off pretty much. Although the zombies letting out a bone screeching scream when burning would be pretty dope. Kinda like the zombie guys do in Half-Life, the ones with the head crab on their heads. Anyway, let's go to the next. They show some cool smoke effect which will be part of the smoke bomb. And even more importantly, they also show the new fashion in which fire spreads, which actually looks way more accurate than the random burning we have currently. It's not just spreading over the green and thus wet grass, but instead you see it sticking to where the flammable fuel is, which are in this case these unlucky trees. No longer do I have to worry about my cement floor just catching fire. And for those wondering, there were no sounds yet to match the animation, so I couldn't show you that yet. But it is being worked on. And some of you guys might be wondering when this fire revamp actually releases, but that's still unknown. But the developers do say that it might come out in Build 42, but considering Build 42 is already adding a massive amount of goodies, it might be later than that. The main point for this blog post was for you guys to know that they're working on it once again. So my honey cherlos, you guys just gotta be patient. And to close off with, the developers say that the Linux server issues are fixed. So good stuff all around. And that will be all from me for now. I hope you all liked this slightly different way of covering news. This time I actually try to give my thoughts more on the news instead of only giving it to you straight. So let me know if this tickled your fancy or if it absolutely made your blood boil. And I will, as always, see you all again somewhat soon.